waiting on God is hard. And especially when he gives us a vision for something, we want to go out there and take action and make it happen. We want to take it into our own hands and begin to take steps to fulfill this vision that God has given to us. And I got to tell you that it doesn't always work that way. When we go and we take actions into our own hands, sometimes we are trying to make something happen in a way that we think it should happen, and God's plans are completely different. David in the Bible had an opportunity to kill Saul and instantly become king, but chose not to, in spite of the fact that God gave him a vision and anointed him that he would be the future king. Saul was out to kill him. But I want to share a real life story with you about a student who came to me one time and told me that God gave them a vision that they were going to be living on a farm and homesteading. And they first approached me and said, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but I feel like that this is what I'm supposed to do." And I communicated to them, "Hey, listen, I don't think you're crazy. In fact, you're not alone. Many of the people who I coach have been receiving similar visions and feeling like they wanted to go back to the land and taking care of themselves and things like that." And so I said, I think that God is actually really moving in people because this is not an uncommon vision. But this person was renting a property, and their intent was, okay, I think that this is what God wants for me. I'm going to just hold on to this. I'm not going to sign a new lease. And they were 30 days away from their lease expiring, and they did not know where they were going to move to. And in one of our mastermind settings, they're asking the group, "Hey, what do I do? What do I do?" And everyone in the group is saying, "Man, I would just go ahead and sign that lease. You only got 30 days left." And I was being very quiet. And we broke, the session broke. And then the student came up to me and said, "Steve, you were being quiet. What's on your mind?" And I said, I hesitate to say this, but if God gave you that vision, I think you need to just hang on and wait on God. And I thought that was pretty bold to say that, because these people were 30 days away from being homeless if nothing came together. And in any case, the student decided not to sign the lease. And they were out driving around looking for property, and they did see a farm that was for sale by owner. And they stopped by, they talked to the owners of that farm, ended up having a conversation with the owners about the possibility of doing a rent to own. The owners actually agreed to do a rent to own, and here they're like 2 weeks away from the time they had to move. And the student was so encouraged and praising God because God showed up and God provided. Now, the rent was going to be pretty high. It was going to be a stretch for them, but they were excited and believed that, this was the fulfillment of the vision that God had given them. But then a week later, the sellers called up and said that they changed their mind and they did not want to do a rent to own. They wanted to sell outright. And that left the student now reeling, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? During the time when they were looking at that other farm, the owners were showing them around, and next door there was an abandoned property. And this student then thought, I'm going to try to find who the owner is of that abandoned property. And they did track down the owner. They got in touch with the owner. And long story short, a 96-acre farm and the house and everything, the owner agreed to rent to them for $200 a month. They were less than a week away from being out of their lease and having to be out of that home. And to me, that was God providing. It was about a 15th of what the other rent was going to be. It was a bigger farm than the other one, probably 3 times the size. And so they ended up getting, 96 acres and the home and barns and everything for $200 a month, and got an option to buy the farm. In any case, I say that because all too often, they had every reason in the world to just be fearful and to go ahead and sign a lease and take things into their own hands. But we do that way too often. And when God tells us he's going to do something, he does it. But we want it done in our time. We want it done quickly. And so often we miss out on what God has for us because we take it into our own hands. And so this is a real life story of someone who, I got to personally witness them choosing to wait on God, believing so much in what God spoke to them, and they waited. Now, having said that, they didn't sit around passively doing it. They did go around looking. They did reach out to people who own properties, and through their efforts, God showed up, and God honored the promise and the vision that he had given to that student. So I hope that you find this as an encouragement. Waiting on God comes with rewards, and all too often we just don't have the patience to wait on him to bless us. So I challenge you, if God has given you a vision, you do need to be out there taking some actions, but be careful about the actions that you're taking. Don't get ahead of him, and let him show up. Let him reward you in an awesome way. Have a blessed day.